Okay. Recording. Can you guys still see my screen or did it disappear? I think it disappeared. It's good? Okay. So some topics that you want to review. So you look at the my last final. I went through a deep dive of like what you want to go in and like in terms of percentage what it is. And so this is just the updated based on last semester what the students gave me. So areas of focus, audit of cash, bank reg, COSO components, COSO principles, internal auditing, materiality and misstatements, sampling, test of controls. Okay, so just like as you're going through the theory, you're watching the lecture, just be like, oh, this is audit of cash. Like this part I'm going to focus more. Bank reg, yeah. Appendix. So these are they should be giving it to you. Normally they always give it. So did he tell you guys what documents were given for the final or what documents were not given? Okay, so all three columns are given, right? So 4 and 5 would not be there. So that's pretty much it. Do we have any questions before we start? Nope. Okay, let's go. Patrick's not here, so someone's gonna have to carry the vote.
Sorry,
Okay.
Danny. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hi, Danny. Sorry, Elizabeth here. Question for you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
What are the other two columns? I have Jack Martin, and I don't remember anything regarding columns.
Okay, so that'll be pretty much a question. So COSO here, internal controls assigned, deficiencies in design. I'll just show you the table. So I put it in here for you guys. So you go in here, the folder, then you COSO. Then you can see here that like this monster right here.
Ah,
You remember
okay.
this, Elizabeth?
What we did something very similar in class as exercises. Okay.
Yeah, so I remember like when I did the class, like Jack Martin went like really quick on it, while the other teacher would spend like 3 classes on it. Um, so uh, columns 1, 2, and 3 will be given, and like what they could be asked, what they could ask you guys is this. So we'll go through how you should learn it, and like please don't memorize all of this by heart, but just understand it. Okay. Does that answer your question, Elizabeth?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah. So let's go. Let's tackle question number 1. Did you guys read it? Are you guys confused, lost, and don't know what to do? Like if someone wants to be like, okay, Danny, I wanna this is what I thought would be doing. Can someone just give me an idea like how they would tackle it? No, okay, you guys don't know. Okay, so I'll start. Um, so you wanna so you read the question, and there's usually one big problem for each final. It's about the COSO framework. Again, don't memorize it, just you have to learn it and then use the case facts with the theory. And so how you would do it is that sorry, it's a bit lagging. Okay. So you separate in 5. First one is what's the first COSO principle, guys? Let me put
Is
my
it
chat.
control environment?
Yeah, control environment. Sorry, I don't know where's my chat box. Yeah, so control environment. What's the second one? Risk assessment. What's the third one? control activities. Fourth one, information communication, and last one is monitoring. Okay. So you want maybe to write that on the side of your exam, or each component here, you have a color for it. So now let's put all this in, let's say blue. And then for each, I want you to talk to me about the strength and the weakness. So plus, you would put it here. Minus here. Okay. Plus here, minus here. And I see same thing. Okay. Okay, so we'll start with control environment. So as you're reading the text, what would you write for control environment? Here. Like you're reading this. I want you to talk first control environment. What does it talk about control environment? Someone?
They mentioned that they always emphasize behaving ethically and looking out for the best interests of the customer and the community, not just the bottom line.
Exactly. So that would be, yeah, so after all,
It's in the paragraph right below, yeah.
okay.
Right.
So let's do that. So that's positive, or that's positive, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
we'll,
positive.
so then you'd be like, right, good tone at the top as company establishes standards of conduct of the enterprise through their value. So that's a strength. Does it mention anything about weakness?
Yes, the fact that all of their employees can set whatever credit limits um, for their customers is a control problem, a control
Okay.
environment.
So
It
which
was
like
right before the
sentence?
highlighted.
Okay. Which one
Interesting.
would
No,
you?
hold on. Oh, sales representatives were allowed to set credit limits for all customers. Um, so yeah, there's no actual control that's being. It's the first one. John's
Okay, so
inquiry
this.
covering phone.
Okay. That's good, but that's very like because sometimes you could have this and it could still be fine. Because it's, let's say that the employee has a good assessment of the credit. Like it doesn't mention that, like, let's say the tone at the top is bad. Like this is like indirectly, if you know what I
Okay.
mean, right?
Well, we know further down that the reason why they were was because the sales quotas got a lot harder to attain. So that's how they were trying to cut corners.
Okay. So actually I like it, so we'll put it. So that would be negative. And you would say what is Elizabeth?
I would say, well, because this is a control environment, but I guess pressures to like pressures to perform in revenues, led the employees to be more lenient with credit limits.
Pressure by management to perform. How we call it? It's for example, when
Sales targets.
yeah, but like when you have like the buy incentive, like how would you say, Elizabeth? Like the all
I'm sorry, I don't understand, Danny.
yeah, so for example, because their goal was to okay, so if management they have high sales goals, they give out bonus
right,
or no one like um no
like
one
a compensation incentive.
yeah, but actually what turns out to they thought would be a compensation is the opposite.
Oh, like it ended up backfiring.
Yeah, exactly. Is there a word you would use for that? So pressure by management to perform, but this is backfired on.
Okay.
It's just right like that.
Okay.
Okay. So I think that's a pretty good. But really doesn't mention too much about it. If in the case they talk really about control environment, it'll be like let's say management they don't do the controls. They're very lenient on policy. Like they really mention management. But in this case, it's less direct, so it's a bit hard. But like overall, how would you guys conclude it?
Would we be able to say that it nets out?
It nets out, and which one do you think
We have to
it's like
pick one side or the other.
yeah, or you say moderate? You know, overall,
I guess moderate high.
it's moderate. Let's
I
say
being
moderate.
positive, I guess.
Sorry.
Like, do we say moderate high, moderate low, and like high being positive? Does that apply to this kind of question?
Yeah, so usually you would say control environments are you have a strong control environment or a weak control environment. So here, I guess overall, manage control environment is not weak nor strong. That's it. I would say like that. If you could put a little bit more, that would be better. But this is the general idea. Okay, is that good, guys? Or are you guys like, what the heck just happened? Good. Okay. Yeah, so for this case, they didn't really talk about management, but usually does talk a lot of management. Okay, and second of all, you see there's a risk assessment, but I want you to jump right into control environment because what is it control environment? Is that the wait? Yeah, control
Control
not control
activity.
control activities. Yeah, sorry, I'm very tired from working all day, so sorry about that. So that's why I need you guys to help me out. Control activities. I want you to talk to me about control activities, and then we'll do risk assessment. So if there's a control activity, there's a strong risk assessment. If there's no control activities, there's a weak risk assessment. All right. So let's always do positive because in the case, how it goes is that yeah, management are trying to do this, they do that, but actually what they're doing like doesn't serve a purpose. So let's start with the obvious positive. So what do you guys think that we should have?
Will it be the fact that they have auditors in-house?
That is, but control activity is usually like it's like the auditor that has to look at if there's a control activity or not. Control activity is something like management has to put in place, like the small like processes, not like having an internal auditor or external auditor. unless they tell you like implicitly that since the system was not working last year, they hired like a internal auditor to fix everything. If that's the case in here, well, I'll put it, but I don't think it was in here.
I think it's the last sentence of the second paragraph. Like she asked John Doe, a senior auditor, to look into these issues to see what could have contributed to this.
So which one exactly?
The last sentence of second paragraph.
Last sentence of second paragraph. 1, 2, last sentence.
Yes.
So most transactions are on credit, given the size. This one.
No, it's the above. Yeah.
Just this one.
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
So last question. Last sentence.
Yes.
She asked John Doe, a senior auditor, to look into this issue to see what could have contributed. Okay, yeah. This was primarily due to the fact that. Okay, so that's good. So I'll put it. The usually control activity, it's mostly for like within the company. But I guess this is a valid point, so I'll put it. Okay. Okay, so here would be control activity for the internal audit. Okay, and then once you have a control activity, what you want to do is go into risk assessment and talk about it. So I'll just put the same. Like in the exam, don't do this. Don't just take the sentence. Just paraphrase in your own sentence, like what this would be. So let's say positive. Let's say. It's the risk for the internal. As for previous issues. Okay, so now I want to go in the like within each account. Is there any positive controls that they set? Let me just highlight this actually. So let's put okay. So what's next, guys?
I think I have one. So they say that the account receivable manager received a notice at the end of the quarter that was saying that there was a very high percentage of customers who purchased equipment on credit. So I guess they have a system in place to flag unusual sales
Can you tell me
volume.
which part, where did you find this? Which paragraph?
Yeah, so it's the third one. Mary Jane Smith, the account receivable manager,
Yeah,
received a notice.
at the end of the quarter of a very high percentage of customers. Okay, and how is this a control activity?
So they have like a system in place to flag unusual sales amount or credit sales. Sorry.
Okay, that's good. Very good. So let's copy this. So for positive. So the account receivable manager knows that a high percentage of and had outstanding balances were not paying. There is a control activity in place to flag. Ying, and then you would take this, and then this would be a positive risk assessment. Say as the company deals with lots of AR, they thought of putting a system to detect customers their outstanding balances. Great. Is there anything else in control activities?
I have like a negative for the control activities.
Yep, Olivia.
For the increasing of the credit limits, there's no like second signatory to sign off on the credit limits, like only one person's allowing it. I don't know if that could be bad though.
Yes. So which
Okay.
part? Like
I think it's
which tip?
the fourth paragraph. It's like in the middle, like there's no specific terms of the year.
Which one is the sorry.
I guess the last sentence, like these quotas are extremely high and this motivates the sales reps to give the credit just to anyone in order to sell the equipment.
Yeah. So I think your point was more about there should be a sentence on telling that sales rep had
The first sentence, it says we're allowed to set credit limits for all customers.
first sentence of the paragraph.
Yeah, over there.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was looking for.
Thank you.
So that's very good. So that would be negative. Let's put in red. There is no control activity for the credit for for customers. So I'm going to take the same thing. And then we're going to do for risk assessment. Did put management did not put a reasonable credit limit, nor did they oblige employees to have a second approval for it, as they did not believe it was a risk. Okay. Is there anything else, guys? I think someone had a hand up. I just didn't see it.
Yeah, I wanted to say in regards to John, John reviewed the allowance for doubtful accounts and he compared it to the previous years to determine if like it was reasonable. It's
And
in
that
the
would be
small
positive or
last
negative?
positive.
So this, right?
Yeah.
So that would be in blue. Oh, sorry. Positive. Okay. So for that, I would put there is a CA for AFDA where it is calculated by the controller and projected for the upcoming year. So yeah, there's is a control in place for the AFDA account, and then here you could say control on AFDA present in design and operating, right, guys? Operating. Right. Anything else?
What do you mean by present in design and operation?
Yeah. So this is a good question, and it's very important because when you have when you're looking at the internal controls of a company, right? I mentioned that there's two things. One, that the design is well, there's a design of it. Like let's say they want to input a certain control, but let's say that all the people that are doing the controls are incompetent. Then what would happen? Tell me.
Then they wouldn't be effective.
Exactly. So then you look at is the control there and if it's operating. So here, like he flagged out, right? And this is completely inconsistent. Let's say it was an intern doing it and like what does he know about being consistent or not inconsistent? Controller is like the highest position in the company. So like the guy's like, holy crap, like there's something wrong here. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So we went through this. So am I missing something? Yeah, I didn't talk about the risk assessment. So I'll take it here. So in the exam, you could just take that and then be like, okay, yeah, there's a risk assessment for that, and here's the control. It's just that I'm like reverse engineering because like it's just like easier to find out these if there's a risk assessment or not. Okay, so let's see. Management has estimated risk of AR by having AFDA calculation for this year. And then like as most transactions are on credit, management has identified a certain risk to the AR account. So just talking about the risk assessed for AFDA. So there is a deadline to assess. Okay. And just going back to Audrey's question, like how could you get points or how can you lose points in this? So the grader is gonna have like a list of like, did you talk about this? So in this case, you're talking about AFDA. If you mention it, you get the point. And then like did you analyze it? So like this is a bit like a lot of sauce here, but something like that to say like, okay, yeah, there's this, but why is this positive or is it negative? Okay. Is there anything else?
At some point, they mentioned that the uncollectible accounts were for new customers. So could we say that there is a weakness and that they didn't do like their due diligence to see if the new customers were credit worthy?
Okay, that's a very good point. Where could I see that there's a new customer or it's for new customers?
Mhm.
In Control F. Here, she knows that it was primarily right being unreasonable, right? These are from other stuff, so that's a very good point. Yeah, so of new customers as and um, so hence so I'm going to take this and put it for risk assessment negative. And so for risk assessment, I like to talk about management, right? Because whose job is it to do like a proper risk assessment and then based on the risk assessment have controls? Management. So management did not assess the risk of new clients, nor did they implement a policy to regulate the credit of new customers. So no proper DD, right? Due diligence on them. Okay, is there anything else?
I have a question just for like the last point that we did.
Yep.
Could we add on that we can like make sure the customers are legit customers and that it's not like a fraud, like a fake customer from someone in the business, or is that too far-fetched?
You could ask, yeah, well, you to find out if they're fraudulent or not, you would perform the due diligence, right?
Okay.
So that pretty sums it up. Like you could write more, but like it's a question of time, you know, or like your hand's probably gonna be like exhausting from all the writing. But you could technically say like make sure these customers or like what could you do, Olivia, to check out like let's say their credit limit works and like they're a real company?
I guess like just like if it flags, if it's like a similar name in the system to like an employee we have, or like a similar address, mailing address, something like that. Or that's
Yeah,
just like one put in place. I don't know.
but is there something like let's say you want to assess if that company has like good credit or not? Because now we're talking about let's say companies. So how would you retrieve this information? Is there a possible way?
I don't know, I guess just like through the credit check, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, so there's this thing called Equifax, and then you like check Equifax. Usually there's two things. You could either like check Equifax, so that's like an external party, or you could have like someone actually doing the control of the credit. But here like the person is like incompetent. Like she's not even doing it. Like the manager, the accounts receivable manager, right? That's kind of her job, looking for credit. If she can't do it, she has to like outsource it to a third party. Good.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, that was a good point though. Is there anything else, guys? How about this? So to reach the sales goal set by top management. How would you guys like interpret this?
No, I just feel like it kind of relates to what we've already mentioned, that management doesn't set like a credit limit, and they don't approve the credit limits set by the sales reps.
Okay, okay. And in terms of risk assessment, how would you feel if is there a risk assessment? Is there not a risk assessment to their action? So what's their action here? So it's allowing credit limit to employees. And what's the outcome of that? It kind of backfired. So like how I would put it would be so like I would put it in, let's say, control activities. Same negative here. We're giving credit to almost anyone. So I would just simply say that. So we did mention it a little bit in the control environment. So that was more the management part, but here, like the control would be there is no control activities for the credit, nor how to like assess this sales goals or the consequence. Does that make sense? And then in the negative, you would take this. It would be a negative risk assessment. Then you would say management did not assess the risk of putting a sales goal, an aggressive sales goal, not only for bonus, but being fired on how the employee would act. Okay. So that's pretty much like this. Sales rep, Johnson. Who's out of this year? Yeah. So this is pretty redundant, right? And what I did during my exam is like I like to paraphrase. So you take you explain a little bit, then you just quote some like important stuff. So like let's say unreasonable credit limit, then you would say like quotas were extremely high, and then you would acknowledge it with like discussion on it. Is there anything else anyone wants to add for control activities? How about this? Because yeah, they did do tests to find out the control activities that was there. But as such, the allowance for doubtful accounts was unreasonably low, given the poor collection in the current year. This is because they probably booked AFDA that was not. Yeah, Brianna.
Well, it's just because the allowance for doubtful account, it was calculated based off the previous years, but seeing how the sales quotas increased and they offered higher credit limits to customers, like the FDA wasn't adjusted for that.
Exactly. So, if you discuss about risk assessment, what would you say about it? So what part of the risk assessment they did right or wrong? What management?
I guess just that they didn't adjust the AFDA calculations to account for the like the increased limits.
Yeah, so here they acquire like new customers, and then they set a new target for the employees. So probably that they didn't adjust it for like let's say a growth rate. They said okay, so last year was that, so I think this year it's going to be like the same thing. So good answer. So not a proper like years risk of AFDA as as it was low, yet many yeah. So risk assessment. Not management did not prepare proper risk assessment of AFDA as they simply use last year's data, which does not reflect new customers nor increase limit by employees. I think we're pretty good here unless someone wants to add something. Okay, no. Okay. So now we're gonna do analysis of the RA. So we have like what? 1, 2, 3, 3 positive. So and then 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So yeah, it's 3 versus 4, but like big picture here. Did they do a good risk assessment or not?
I think no, because we have more weaknesses than strengths.
Okay. So I would say so overall weak risk assessment as management, and then you could talk about like what are the key points here. As management did not do a proper evaluation of allowing pre-limit set booking and their new policy of bonus slash firing. And how about the control activity? So we have 3 blue, and again we have 4 red. So what would you guys say? I guess it's probably obvious, right? So overall weak control as yes, management did put some yet most of them are, I don't want to say useless, but let's say are not effective in achieving their goals. And then we could say what are their goals? So we can see like what did they put as controls here. So yes, they did put for internal auditor So it's really like, look, there's a CA in place with 5% of customer not paying. So we're talking about outstanding balance. And then here, yeah, it's really about AR and outstanding balance. Integral of having an AR there. And okay, so that's pretty much it for this. Any questions for that? For this part? Yeah, Brianna?
Would it be right to say that like there's not enough of like preventative controls? It's mostly like controls that detect certain things, but they kind of like detect them after they happen. So it's like not enough controls that prevent them from happening in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if you remember, like if it's preventative, it's automatic or manual usually.
Automatic.
Yeah, automatic, but here it's pretty manual, right?
Okay.
So that's a good point. So no, so what, so not enough. No control, there's not enough control as. So actually, Brianna, what would you say in that case? Just tell me and I'll write it. And I'll, how would it come out in an exam?
Not not enough preventative controls. And we could just say the controls only detect like I guess I want to say like they only detect things that can't like be corrected after. Like if they already approve the customers, they can't go back and kind of like the reverse the transaction, you know?
Weak risk assessment, right? Because if there's a proper risk assessment, usually things are automatic because like you're doing in the future, but now since it's afterwards, it's preventive, it's detective. It's more detective controls right now, so that's why they have a weak risk assessment. So very good point. Anything else, guys? Okay, do we have anything for IC? Information communication? Do we have something?
Sorry, is that internal communication?
Yeah, sorry, what did I say? Information communication. Yeah, internal communication. Well, there's I think there's two things. There's external and internal. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know. I haven't like overlooked everything. I was just I didn't hear what you had said, so I wasn't sure if you said
Okay.
internal communication or if it was information communication. I'm not sure.
So you see, this is how I would study this. So information communication. All right, so internally and then externally. So there's two things, internally and externally. So do we see number 14 in this case? Let's go back.
The last sentence it says Joe found out about these problems. He immediately informed top management and the audit committee.
Exactly. It's like, what's the point of doing all this if management doesn't know, right? So that's why it's very important. That's not ugly quote. There you go. That's positive. And then I would mention internally because when you're talking about information communication, there's two things, internal and external. External would be like, let's say you have like your company has a problem, and then you hire a press agent to talk to the outside people. That would be external. Okay, so information is transferred internally on a timely basis to manage. All right. So that's a good point. That's information. That's a positive. Anything else, guys, for either this or monitoring? So let's see monitoring what we have here. All right, organization links. Internal control deficiencies in timely manner to those parties. All right. Is there anything you guys think should be here? How about the fact that, you know, they saw that there was an issue, right? And they're like, okay, we're gonna hire an auditor.
Yeah, the last sentence in the second paragraph. She asked John Doe, the auditor, to look into the issue.
Yeah, so there's the fact that it's, you know, information communication, so it gets transmitted, but like who says like, John, you got to do this?
The account receivable manager.
Yeah. So I would say, since this is kind of like management, they're like, look, okay, we have a problem, so we're gonna monitor it, and then we're gonna have a solution. So here you could say like, I would take this. By knowing the controls. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So monitoring is like all usually these little things, like what's the overall picture is like, are they looking at it day to day? Are they looking at the quarter end and be like, okay, there's a problem, we're gonna have to fix it. So how do they respond to the company overall? And then you would like include strong or weak. Strong or weak. So here's pretty much, we only have strong, and then here would be strong because we have one positive. Okay. Any questions for this?
I have a question for the exam.
Yep.
So every time we finish our analysis for one section of the coastal environment, should we do like an overall conclusion for each section?
Yeah, yeah. That's why you want to do. Make sure that you don't forget a conclusion. But like I could just let you know, like in CPA, if you don't conclude, like you're losing a lot of points. If one sentence. So that's why like I would say strong a week. If it's moderate, because like you're not sure, then put that. But yeah, conclude. Good.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, let's move on to the other one. Okay. The following control activities exist. The board of directors must have 4 members who are not currently serving. Okay, so what you have to do, assign their internal controls 1 to 12. You would put these internal controls into here, and then you would have to say what's the deficiencies in design. So that's not in the case here. That's the thing that you're gonna have to learn. So I'll just put the table here so you guys could see it at the same time as me. Okay. So here it's really not that complicated because I have the table, but you're gonna have to like know this. The board of director. So it would be would be the answer for it. There should assessment. D. And the next one, principle 12. The review of accession report should be documented. The review of exception. Yes. All right. So let's just go through like what the heck does this mean, okay? So that's how you go in the grid here and look at the board of directors, blah, blah, blah. So establishes oversight responsibilities, applies relevant expertise, operates independently, right? That's important word. Provides oversight of the system of internal control. Okay. So we're gonna go one by one, and you guys tell me, should it go here or no? Okay, so look at this here. Okay, so the board of directors must have at least, I think it was at least. Oh yeah, also I put in the drive a newer version with less typos. Yeah, I saw that the other one had typos, so I fixed it. These 4 members who are not currently serving in any other role in the company. So would that be applicable to number 2? Yes or no?
Yes, because it ensures the independence.
Yeah, good. So we're gonna take this, and then we're gonna put yellow, and then we're gonna put here number 1. How about this? At the end of the year, control reviews all monthly bank recon for the year and documents corrective actions for any exception noted. Yes or no?
No.
No, perfect. Guys, if you want to put in the chat too, huh? You could do it. Brianna's taking all the heavy lifting here. Okay, number 3, all procedures and policies related to hiring and promotions are documented and reviewed by Management similarly, follow-up procedures after the review are documented. Yes or no?
No.
No, perfect. All employees have their own unique passwords. Blah, blah, blah. Yes or no? No. Perfect. 5 managers perform semi-annual evaluations. Yes or no? No. Perfect. 6. Yes or no? No. Perfect. Thank you, Brianna, again. 7, salary and bonus for management executives are determined by the compensation committee of the board of director. Yes or no? Yes. Brianna says yes. Good. I like that. Um, every employee must certify their compliance with the codes of ethics every year. Yes or no? Yes. Okay. So Maria, do you think it applies more to number 1 here or number 2 here in the COSO?
Number 2.
Are you sure? Because here it says like integrity and ethical values.
Oh, sorry, number 1. Sorry, number 1.
Yeah, so that's why we wouldn't put it in number 2, right? We won't put it in this. You get it? Yeah. Okay. Number 9, at the end of the quarter, CEO and CFO report to the board of directors about their financial performance of the company. Yes or no? Yes. So that would put. So 9. All new hires, number 10. Yes or no? No, perfect. 11, yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. No, perfect. All audit committee members must have experience in financial reporting. Yes or no? Okay, so auditor says yes. I originally put this as no, but I'm here if you want to tell me the opposite. I'm listening.
Yeah, so if I'm following correctly, we're doing number 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just looking at column 3, the second thing. It says to apply relevant expertise. So if they're dealing with oversight and everything, that could be relevant.
Yeah. So let me check if there's another number here that has that talks about the competence of management. Okay, no. So I think that board of directors mentioned. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. So 12, I would put it there too. So that's good. Okay. So the other one deployed through policies and procedures. So number 2 is so wait, so that's I'll just put the principle 12 here. So basically here number 12, it's like if it is a control activity or not. Because these are very policies and procedures. So number 2, yes or no? Yes or no? Number 2. No. So why would you think that, Jay?
I was just thinking more high level, but you're right, this is a procedure. It's just very described in depth.
Yeah, exactly. So there's
So
like,
I guess
okay,
yeah.
so here the control would be like the control needs to like do a bank rec and find any corrective measures. So I would put it in, yo, that's nasty, bro. That's nasty. Okay. So number 2, I'll put it here. Number 3,
Yes as well.
good. Next one, number 4. No. So why would you say no, Brianna? Are you referring to 3 or 4?
Yeah, I was referring to 4. Um, I guess I'm not sure.
So you're not sure if this is a control or not?
Well, it is a control.
Okay. So what would be your so why would you not put it as a number principle 12?
Like, I don't know why I wouldn't put it as 12, but I just feel like I remember in the 17 COSO framework that like there was like a better one for the POS system.
Yes, so there's this one, right? 11.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I would, since it's like anything IT, I would not like if it's IT control that's IT, I would just put it in 11. But
Mhm.
again, like it is like the policy and procedure. So like it's kind of the gray line, but like let's say assume that we're respecting the exact components. Let's say we don't put it. Okay, just because if it's IT, you don't put it. You just put it in the other one. So that's I would go for no finally for that. Okay, how about the other one? 5. Did you just put yes, Brianna, or that was from the previous chat? Sorry.
I put that for now, but I'm just I'm now that I'm rereading, I'm not sure. I'm just rereading the comments from the screen.
So let's say we're looking at the 5 components. Where would you put it? This? Do you think that there's a better one? Just like overview. Because those are controls, right? But like, is that small picture or big picture?
This is more big picture.
Exactly. So it would like, would you think of putting in more in monitoring?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why, like, yes, it is control, but it's more big picture. So we're gonna leave it to monitoring, which is like a bunch of like looking at if the controls are working or not, like at the year end or a certain timeline. So this one, sales price used by the POS system are based on the approved price list. Would that be here or no? So this is a tricky one. Number 6, guys. Yes or no? Yes or no, guys? You get 50% right if you answer something. Is it because I'm scaring you guys?
I'm not sure because you said POS system, when it's mentioned, you should put it in number 11.
Yeah.
So I would stick with that, maybe.
Okay, so you would say no, right? Or yes?
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah,
I would say
I wouldn't put it for now. Every employee must certify their compliance with the code of ethics every year. Yes or no?
no.
No, perfect. Number 10.
Mm, I think I saw something that's a better fit, like about comp sense.
On top?
Yeah, like staff must have the qualifications.
Yeah, I
Or
think I
maybe it's
remember.
not higher than two, so yes. Yeah, that one, number
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
So I would say no.
Okay. Yeah. Same. That's good. I like that. I would put it as no as well. How about 11?
Again, since it says IT system, I would put it in number 11.
All right. Perfect. So that's it for that question. Any questions for number Q2? We're good. So that's how you would study the table right here, this massive table. Perfect. All right, let's move on to the other one. We'll do the quants after. So this is a quant. I'll whip out the Excel and we'll all do them together. Okay. So what do you guys think of this zero volunteer? So just does someone wanna okay, I'll just does someone want to explain to me what's MUS or want to try?
I could go.
Yes, sir. Let's go, Audrey.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would say MUIs in basic form, every dollar is a sample. So if your sample size is 20K, well, you would add every invoice, and when you get to 20K, you pick that one. So in that way, you have more chances of picking samples that are bigger and
Yeah.
are more likely to be overstated.
Yeah. And um so we talked about like attribute sampling. How do you think that relates to the MUS?
I really have no idea for that one. Is it
So
because the population has to be pretty all the same?
sorry, repeat that.
Is it because the population has to be very similar in a way?
The population or the sample?
Like, yeah, every sample has to be similar between each other.
Yeah. So for MUS, there's two things I want you guys to remember. So one, it's good for attribute sampling. Sampling, and I'll put what's the definition of attribute sampling, and then it's a statistical result expressed in dollars, and then we'll do the calculation after, and you'll see like, oh well, since the sample there's like an express in dollars, you can find the percentage and then extrapolate that to the whole population. So that's why it's good. So what's the definition of attribute sampling? Is this So it's a method of sampling result in an estimate of the. Let me just take out my document. I think I wrote it somewhere. Portion other items in population. Interest. Okay. Okay, and do you guys think that if we're using MUS to test selling and general admin expenses, is it a good way to do it or not? So you guys think it's good or bad? I'd like to hear like both if possible. Yeah,
I
Brianna?
would, sorry, I would say good, because if they detect unusual high amounts, then like perhaps a company would be able to like have lower expenses, let's say, or they could even detect expenses that like personal expenses by employees, let's say. I'm not sure.
Okay. So like let's say I'm doing MUS, I would just take like random sampling. So like there's 10 invoices and I just like pick two and then look if they're right or not. Why would your method would be better than mine? Let's say because you're taking like let's say the dollar value. So why would that be better? Would you say?
Because you're focusing on expenses that are high,
Okay.
like your higher expenses, and then you're evaluating those higher ones.
Okay. And usually, are you concerned with because like if you look at a company, right? So what's their bias, would you say, in expenses? Do they want to put more expenses or less expenses in their financial statement?
Less expenses, so there's a bias, so they would want to understate them.
Less. So you're afraid of understatement. That's why you want to check, right? They want to lower the expenses. And so what does MUS do though? Does it look
Yeah,
at overstatement or understatement?
I changed my answer then. The MUS looks at more overstatement because it looks at higher values.
Higher values. Okay. So what's your conclusion on this? Is it a good way of doing it or not?
No.
And why would your answer be like in a conclusive way?
I
I'm
guess
putting
that we
go ahead, go sorry.
I guess that we wouldn't be testing like items of the population of I don't know what I want to say exactly. Like I have it in my head, I just can't put it into words.
So usually like let's say you want to look at overstatement, it's more for what? Revenues, right? Then the fact that there's one there's one invoice that's standing out, it has more chances of being taken, and as an auditor, that's what you want. But in this case, like general and admin expenses, like does it vary a lot, or is it approximately the same? The cost.
I think I would say approximately the same.
Yeah, so expenses for admin, sorry, SG&A, usually the same, right? So if they're usually the same, like if you do just like random sampling, then you put every invoice is in a hat, like it's kind of the right, it's kind of the same thing. Let me see. The I don't know. Yes. Yes, would not be like if I say like MES would not be much different than the others, than the other methods, as it usually tests for overstatement. The is more associated with understatement. However, since there is a there is is or attribute something. Yeah. To so you say like I'm basically saying that yes, it's good. It's not the best, but it's still good for these reason. Right. So it's really about I would say the answer that you give based on the theory. So yes, I could still use it, but like it's appropriate for more other accounts. And then you could say like, oh well, it's better for like revenue account because it looks more at over estimating. Is that clear or no, guys? Yeah. Okay. So you have a client where you're not required to test the controls. However, you may choose to do so. Why?
I can try.
Yes, Maria, go ahead.
So if your client has strong internal controls, instead of just doing substantive, if you can rely on their internal controls, then you can do both, I guess.
Exactly.
It
So
will save you time.
test to see if we can, and we'll will avoid us some auditing work. So we're doing that because if controls are strong, it reduces extent of substantive testing. Okay. Also testing the controls will give us a sense of risk of material misstatement, right? Because remember what we did before for the midterm, risk of midterm RMM equals two things, right? The controls and inherent risk, right? So if you're looking at the controls, you're maybe assessing like where the risk could be, and that's where you would go for less or more substantive testing. Okay, is that clear? Good, good, good. No question. Let's move on. Let's go. Okay, you guys could take a minute to read it. Yeah, pretty much highlight everything. Different color. Okay, so anyone wants to chime into maybe like the first point? The others have a very important one. Is this true or false? Yeah, good. Lee mentioned that so internal auditors to shareholders, but BOD. Well, it's more to but management, right? Then they report. So who reports to the BOD, guys? There's two entities.
Internal and external auditors.
External auditors, yeah, they would, because basically the BOD is the one that's hiring the accounting firm to do the audit. But no, internal auditors, they report to the shareholders. Sorry, internal auditors report to management, and then management reports to the shareholders. So who else reports to the BOD, guys? Look in monitoring activities.
Is it external auditor and management?
Yeah, exactly. No. So to the BOD, we established that it's the external. Yeah, And management, yeah. So you're right. So management also has to report to the BOD because the BOD are okay. Sorry, you wrote it there. Yeah. So the BOD are the one that could be they could fire the CEO and the CFO. So good question, a good answer. Number two, one of the main responsibility for auditors is finding areas of improvement in the company. Yeah, Renee. True. Good. True. Main role. Yep. As an internal auditor, I will be testing controls over financial reporting as well as effectiveness and efficiency. True or false?
I think it's
said true.
false. Oh,
Yeah, let me know,
false.
Elizabeth, what you're thinking behind it.
Well, testing controls over financial reporting as well as effectiveness and efficiency of operations. I mean, at the end of the day, oh, sorry. I misread this. This is internal auditor. I was thinking external auditor. Sorry, I'm wrong. Yes, so Lee is right. I would go to true.
Are you sure?
Well, yes, because an external auditor is making sure that there's like no material misstatements or big errors so that the financial statements aren't, presented incorrectly, or aren't presented incorrectly to the users of the financial statements. But I would assume that an internal auditor is really making sure that not only are there proper internal controls, but that they're working, so that they're designed and also implemented.
Yeah. So testing and control usually who else could be doing this?
External auditors, but it's not their responsibility to really tell you like how to improve it.
Yeah, that's good.
They'll tell you if it's
So
weak or not.
exactly. So external they would just look at this, while internal you're looking at the effectiveness and efficient of operations by doing the testing and control. So good, good. So true must look at this and see as well as tests, but they would just test to look if it's efficient or not. Okay, last one. I will also be involved in the booking year-end adjusting entries.
No.
Okay, so Brianna.
Well, just because like then there's kind of like a independence problem. Like you can't have the auditor be the same one booking the entries.
So why can't the internal auditor be booking the year-end entries? So are you telling me this is the external
I
auditor that's
think,
doing them?
No,
sorry,
I thought
I have a question.
Uh oh yeah, I'll just okay, so sorry. So Brianna, go ahead, and then Maria will go through your question.
maybe it's because it's year end that it would be internal, but I was like my initial thought was like it's management that takes care of the entries, and then internal auditor is more like verifying the information. Like I don't know.
Okay. And Maria, what would you think? What's your question? Sorry.
So I was thinking because we said internal auditors are the ones that are setting the controls.
Mhm.
How can they, for example, implement a control and then at the same time book entries? Can you just explain like how the internal audit department works? I don't really understand that.
Okay, so internal auditors, what they do is just look at the controls and are they working and are they present? Is there like a risk assessment? Um, while the external auditor, what he does is really just are is it designed well and is it working? So they're kind of doing a bit of the same thing. Well, one works for the company to protect themselves against the auditor, the external one, while the external auditor just does a couple of tests to see if it's working or not. So Maria, does that answer your
For
question?
example, when it comes to, for example, preparing the financial statements, I
Yeah.
understand that it's management's responsibility, but will internal audit be involved in that process?
Yeah, so that's the question here. Usually, they're not, right? Internal auditors, do they prepare the financial? They don't. They don't prepare the financial statements. It's more management, that has like a uh, let's say a bookkeeper or whatever that does the book entry. So like Felix says, is in management that adjusts the entries. So yeah, usually it's management, like when they're doing the extrapolation of the general ledger, and that becomes the balance sheet. They're the one that does the adjusting entries, right? So if ever you guys heard of like a trial balance, these are all like at the year end, all the accounts have a certain amount to them, and that makes the balance sheet. And sometimes management could be like, oh well, I'm going to debit this account, credit this amount, and then that's the year-end entries. And if you look at the 2008 frauds, a lot of them were just like doing a bunch of year-end entries. So that's why this is not the internal auditor's job, but more of the management. So he will not be false, not making false, making year-end entries. Are we good with that, or are we still confused?
Makes sense to me. Thank you.
Makes sense? Perfect. Excellent. Okay, how many questions we still have? Okay, let's go through them. That's us. Okay, so you're using a sample of test. The following control. All credit sales over 1,000 requires a check. What is the population for your test?
Wouldn't the
Yeah,
population all credit sales over 1,000?
exactly. So Mira and Brianna, you guys are right. So it would be uh, tu- 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 over $1,000. Okay. So question 7, I'll give you guys a little bit of time to read it. So I'll just maybe give you a recap of like X. Does anyone want to try?
Does the tolerable exception rate increases means that you're open to accepting more exceptions?
Yeah, so if your toggle exception rate increases means that you're allowing more error. So how would that impact your population?
So you will do less work and decrease your sample size?
You said decrease your sample size?
Yeah, if you can tolerate more error, you do less work and then you decrease your sample size.
I would say since because the reason why you're taking a lot of samples is because you want a smaller error. So like let's say I take 10 invoices and I find a mistake. Let's say I find one mistake. It's maybe 10% that there's a mistake, right? But let's say I take 1,000, then I find 10 mistakes. Then that represents like less than what was it, 1%, something like that. So if you're taking more population, right? Because you want less error. But here, if you're increasing the error that you're allowing yourself, what does that mean? You're reducing the sample size. Because there's okay, so like let me write it down. So you want low percentage of error. You take plus population. You accept high percentage of error. You take less population, right? So if we look at what Maria said, if you want low percentage of error, you have to take more population and then that will cause you to do more work. That's how you should see it. I think there was a slide on this. Wait, let me pull out my notes. Okay. There you go. Yes. Right. So do you guys understand or no? Good? Yes, no? Tell us when that's good. Can we move on to the next question? Yes. Okay. Your testing controls around revenue, which are booked using IT system. The IT system does not properly work, and people do not understand how to follow. Are you going to use substantive approach or combined approach? This should be an easy question. Substantive, yeah. Can't trust these people. Okay, so for the next one. Does this give you like midterm vibes, guys? That's why this final is cumulative. So what did you guys think? Occurrence. Okay. And Maria, why do you think it's occurrence? So what's occurrence? Tell me.
I'm not sure anymore, but I think it should go from the book to the supporting documentation. It's okay.
Yep. So here's what is the book? Maria.
The payroll, the recorded payroll payments.
And supporting documents is what? It's a supporting document, right? Okay. Okay, so was this an analytical procedure or a test of detail?
Test of detail.
Okay, and why would you say that, Brianna?
Analytical is more like calculation based and like comparisons, whereas test of detail is more like I guess like the transactions and balances.
Yeah. So here would be transaction or balance.
This would be
I'm sorry.
transaction.
So here would be, so we're examining. It's examining. Okay, good. What is the best way to measure sampling risk if you're using directed sample selection? So what is sampling risk?
It's the risk that the sample isn't representative of the population.
Yes, exactly. Very good. And do you know two ways to controlling them? We kind of talk a little bit about it when we're talking about the MUS. Yeah, I think that's, yeah. Go ahead. Did you want to say something, Brianna?
I wanted to just ask what directed sample selection was.
I think it just means like let's say you're using a specific method, like is like MUS or random
Okay.
sampling. I think it just means that. So remember, like I was telling you, like, oh, maybe we should use random sampling instead of MUS. Or like, let's say I took like all the invoices, there's 10 invoices, but there's like one of $1 million and 9 invoices that are worth like $10,000, and I do random sampling. The problem is that the way I'm doing it, it's not representative of the true population. Because I'm saying that, well, the one that has $1 million has 10% of being chosen, but in real life, like, it has more materiality to it. So I should maybe switch to another method. So is
What
that,
about,
yep.
sorry, what about that method that kind of separates like the population into categories and then selects like different samples from those categories? Would that be? I forgot the name of it. But would that be one of the ways?
So you're giving a very detailed answer, but like, what did you just do right there?
I know there's a name for like that sort of method, but I forgot what the name is.
But what's
Like,
your thought? Like, you went from one to the other, right? So yeah, maybe this is too I'll just try it for you guys. Just using an appropriate of selecting the samples. That's it. That's it. I think this answer you could like find it in your slides. Just Control F sampling risk. And number 2, what did we just talk about here? What did we do here? What did we adjust?
isn't this blocking or
So what did I play with? Like, what's my Y value? Like, so I would take plus population, take less population. So I'm trying to get like either a high percentage of error or a lower percentage of error to reduce my sampling risk. So what did I do? I adjusted my sample size. That's simple. These are the 2 things to reduce your sampling risk.
sorry
All
about
good?
that. 5.
All good, all good. So yeah, sometimes you're studying and you're like so much in the detail. It's good to just step back and be like, what am I doing, right? So that's the reason why we're changing from, like, let's say Elizabeth wrote I can't write, stratified sampling, or like MUS or random sampling, because you're changing method and then you want to adjust the sample size. Then later on in the question, there's like a table thing we're gonna do, and what it's doing is that based on the tolerable of mistakes that you're allowing, you're either gonna have a big population or a low population. Okay, good, good, good. Next question. Okay, you are testing to see whether the transaction near the year end were booked in the proper period. You selected the last 5 transactions in the current year. The first 5 in the next year. What type of sampling is this? Block sample selection. All right, so very good. You guys said that without hesitating. And so that's really with the cutoff that you would use this type of sampling. Okay, we're gonna do the quants. I'm gonna get some more water. Don't want to take too long. So like 8:15, guys, be back, because I'm gonna try to finish on time. Sounds good? Good, good. Okay. 8:15.
what he's doing is
Okay, so for this last question, I think I'm gonna do them because we don't have that much time. But if there's anything, just let me know, and I'll try to explain it. For some stuff, I'll ask you guys. Okay, so for bank rec, we so balance per bank, balance per book. So this amount here is 100,000. 100,000. So dinero. Oops. Okay. Okay. So the company wrote and emailed the following checks, which did not get cash. So where would you guess with this? So maybe tell me which account is wrong and which account is right. You want to go ahead, Brianna?
Would it be that the bank balance isn't right because like the funds haven't been removed from the account?
Is it positive or negative?
Negative,
And how come?
because it's checks that were sent, but they weren't removed from like the bank balance yet because they weren't cashed.
Yeah, they weren't for this period they weren't cashed. Yeah, so very good. Negative 2,000. Negative. Yeah. How about the other one, guys? What do we feel?
It is balance per book.
Okay, and what amount would you put?
It for 68.
Positive or negative?
Um, it positive.
Positive. Okay. All right. So this is a template I'll give to you guys, and this is also what I do for CPA. So let's say that the company did something and it's either right or wrong. So there's a check company did. And okay, so Lee, I'm gonna ask you, what did the company do?
The company wrote a check, so it's
How
mean
much?
account payable. It 52.
Yes. And what were they supposed to do?
They supposed to write it as 520.
And to get from minus 52 to minus 520, how do you get there? How do you get there?
So you plus you minus 4. Okay, give me 1 second. You
Or just tell me the amount. How
468.
positive or negative?
Negative 468.
Negative, exactly. So you go like that. Minus 460. So this would be let's say typo. How about the other one, guys?
It's a book balance,
Okay, so let's say unnecessary.
and it would be negative.
Yep, negative 900. Yeah, so Felix, good, good. So let's just go back to the question. Yeah. So they receive a payment from a customer for 900, but this turns out to be an NSS check returned by the bank. So the book you have to adjust for it. Okay, so so whoops, forgot this. So does it balance or no? No. So what would you guys do? We have to put potential risk is this amount that someone could have stole or okay. Maria had a question. Are the 3 checks we deducted from the bank balance outstanding checks? Or so these are so let me go here. The company wrote and mailed, right? You're mailing. So it's outstanding checks that that they wrote so that the other company has to come in and cash in. Okay. So yeah, and items. So these are in my slide. I have a slide just for this. Balance of the bank. So memorize these. Book. So let me just copy them. I have my solution here. I just don't want to write them. It'll be faster. Checks. Here it's typo. And invalid receipt. Yeah, in my other video before I talked more about it. So honestly, just remember and put in the exam. Okay, any questions for that?
Hey, Don. What
Yep.
do you mean by you have to test all of these and the thing you just copy pasted?
No, you gotta test all of these. So like, let's say the number here, bonds per bank, like what type of supporting, like they could ask you like, okay, reconcile this, and like what other supporting documents would you use to make sure that, let's say, the check here is actually, you got to do minus 2000, or like, let's say the typo at minus 468. Like how would you find, this amount through the documents? Well, for example, for the checks, you would obtain a cutoff statement. So remember how, let's say you're auditing the company for September, but it's like October 15th. Then let's say they're telling you that, but then the other company should cash in the check in, let's say, October 2nd, right? So you're gonna ask for a cutoff statement. So that means that just for the first month of October, and look at if the money did arrive or not. So that's like the supporting documents to be like, okay, well, the checks, are they actually, outstanding?
Okay, makes more sense. Thanks so much.
And like here, balance of the book, okay, this amount is $100,000, but like, where'd you find it? Well, you have to go into the bank confirmation and look like, in the bank confirmation, is the amount $100,000, or is the company just telling you like, or inventing you that number? And that's our per bank. So you look at the bank confirmation and balance per book. Then you would look into the company's ledger. Look like, is it stated $100,000, or are they just like bull crapping you? So that's really like, what would you do? So vouching, bank statements, yada yada. Okay. Question 4. I think we'll leave that for the last one. I want to do this question 5. It's all let me see if we actually need. Okay, so I'll just import in the table. So sampling error. So what I like to do is always company entry, right entry, and then the adjustment. Okay, so guys, tell me, how much did they enter for this ABC loans? Okay, first of all, like, step back. What are we doing? Okay, so A, does the error suggest an overstatement or understatement? So what did they do? So we're looking at invoice here, and you're taking a sample to represent the whole population, and you want to see the fact that this paywall, it was not recorded. Okay, One, is it an understatement or overstatement, right? So remember, like when we're doing tests, we're looking at, are we doing overstatement or an understatement? And are we using the right method of testing? And then two, what's the assertion? And based on the result, is this material or not, right? Because we're auditor. We're not going to take the whole population. We're just taking a sample and extracting the mistake on the sample on the population to see if the mistake is material or it's not material. Do we get what we're doing here, guys? Yes, no, you want me to explain one more time? You're good? Okay. So what did the company do for ABC loans? How much did they enter? How much, Joyce? You can put in the chat if you want. It's not that deep of a question.
Could you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah, so the in the here, right? So you have all these invoices, 430, 270, 120. How much did they enter as an expense, Audrey?
Oh, they entered zero. No entries.
For ABC loans?
Oh no, sorry, I thought you meant Paintwell.
Okay, so for payroll, how much did they put?
Zero.
Zero, right? And for all the other accounts?
They entered the invoice amount, I'm assuming.
Invoice amount, exactly right. So 430, 270, 540, great, 270. That's the company entry. And Audrey, what is the right amount, the right entry that you should have, well, they should have put?
I feel like everything is correct except for Paintwell that should have been 120.
Exactly. Good. So here it would be this. So would be that, except for this one's 120. And we're looking at what? Oops. Expenses, right? So let's do this. And then we're gonna take this. Voila, bada boom, bada bing. All right, so let me come back to this question, Brianna. They put 150, 1510, and the right entry was 1630. Are they trying to overstate or understate the expense?
They understated it.
Understate, right? Understate. And that's what happens with expenses. They usually want to understate. And do you know why they want to understate the I asked you that, but you gave me the right answer before, but do you know why they want to understate expenses?
Increase the income.
Yes, increase income, right? So if you're on the stock market, what do the shareholders look? Your profit. So if you reduce your expenses, then you have higher profit. And so what would be, so let me ask you, Lee, what would be the adjusting entry for this?
I think you have to put negative 120 into
Yeah.
account payable.
So beautiful, adjusting. And guys, you're gonna do this a lot in CPA, okay? Because now you're like in the skin of an auditor. You're like, you're doing your calculation. So question A, does this error suggest an overstatement or understatement? You're understating. So which accounts payable assertions would this be? What you guys think? Completeness. Brianna, why would you think it's completeness?
Because they're missing, like in their records, they're missing oh, actually never mind, because they have the invoice for it. Scratch that.
So why would you say that?
Perhaps I was gonna say, like, forget it, because they did receive the invoice for it. They just like didn't record it as like a payable. But then would it just be like an accuracy error, because like between like the invoice and then like the payables, they just didn't record it?
Yeah. So it looks like it's accuracy, but remember, like, there's a bias to it. They didn't teach you the word bias in Acco 360. I just use this word bias because it's more of a common sense, and usually like it leads me to the right direction when I'm not too sure. So remember omission, right? Because they're omitting something. They're omitting the 120. So yeah, it is accuracy, but they're omitting this expense, paint wall. What is omission? Which assertion is it?
Is it completeness?
Yeah, it's completeness. So that's why I would put this as completeness, but not because like we're going from the documents to yada yada, but as soon as you see like an omission, then it would be completeness. So you had a good answer, you just did not know why exactly to justify it. But completeness, right? So guys, from your midterm, assertions are still gonna come. So if you did well in your midterm, so it'll be good for the final. So based on this result of this test only, does this suggest a potential material misstatement in accounts payable? Okay. So what we want to do is take the sample and then extrapolate that onto the population, right? Okay. So let's see here. What is your understatement percentage? Okay. So it's gonna be so that's 8%. So let's say what's your population here? It's total balance is 120,000. In dollars. Right? So what's your overall materiality? 80,000. Potential materiality. Okay, so guys, based on this result, this suggests a potential material misstatement in accounts payable. Is it? Yes or no? Yes or no? No, right? Olivia says no because I'm assuming this is your response to it. It's because we're going to be looking at materiality at 80,000, right? So 80,000 here, and then PM is here, But if the error is lower, then it's fine. It's not material. You don't look at it. Okay. We good for that, guys? Knock on wood?
Sorry, I have a question, Danny.
Yep.
How did you come up with the, for example, the numbers for total balance? I just missed that.
So for the 7.9% or where? Oh, total balance? No, it's given in the look scissor. So it gives you both.
Oh, sorry, never mind.
No
Okay.
problem. No problem. Yes, because I went through the question quick. But yeah, it's there, and this is what you have to find. All right, good guys? Good. Next question. Last one. Did your teacher show you the table? The Did he show you the Yeah, okay. Good. Okay, so I provide you guys exercises and solutions to it. So you look at the solutions with the answer. Like if you want to practice how to use this table, you could basically click on. I did this just for you guys. There's a blank version with no answers, so you could practice that if you're not too sure. And in the exam, they'll give you the table. So like this, and like, well, actually, no, this and this is that. Cure this, and Iraq. Yeah. Okay, so we'll do this together, guys. Okay. So here the total, I'm just writing it down again. Total number this. Okay, so I'll just explain like big picture what we're doing. So question A, determine the minimum sample size based on the above parameters. So remember that based on the tolerable error rate that we could have, we're gonna take a number X of population. If we want we're accepting a higher percentage of mistake, then we're gonna be lowering our population, and then vice versa. But here they give you the tolerable exception rate. So now we're gonna find out like how many samples do I actually have to take. And then B, they did the test, they found out, and then based on the tables that they give you, does this pass or fail, right? Does this pass or fail in terms of materiality? So yeah, it's 129, but let me get there. Actually, maybe you'll Lee, you'll show me how to do it. So I'll just write the all the data. So we okay. 21, which is 150. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Risk of This is 10%. Okay, so maybe Lee, tell me like how'd you get the answer? Just go on the other side.
Yeah, I use the 10% table.
This one?
Yeah, the 10%. Yes, this one. And the horizontal.
I think it's this one, yeah.
Yeah.
10%. Yeah, and then
The
so this one, right?
horizontal. Yeah, the second one. Yeah.
Because it's 0.25, right?
Yeah, 0.25 and then 3.
So okay, so 2 and then 3, so you get 129.
Yeah.
So our sample size is 129. Okay, so um, members of the association. How many did they find? Five, set, five. Five, thanks. Five, and then they might ask you in the exam like to compute the sample exception rate. That's a fancy word of just 5 divided by 100. Okay, so that's 2.5%. And then what's your computed upper? So Lee, how would you go about it? Lee? Okay, so I'm not sure if she's hearing me, but like you would get here and then 10% error cure, so you would look here. So he chose 200. So we don't have that, so I'm gonna Google one, so cure. Can you guys see? So 200, and then actual numbers of exception found, it's 5. So it's 4.6. Right? 4.6%. And then basically what you're doing is that you're looking the 4.6 here, and then you're looking at the here, I forgot to put this. Right, you like as we mentioned before, you're looking, that's the mistakenly that you're allowing. So let's say TDER is 3%. So that's why Lynn would fill it, because this is 4.6 and you're just allowing yourself 2% of error. Okay, any questions for that? And then based on the results of your test, how many cells recorded in 2021 did not have the required shipping documents? So you know you have your 4.6. So C. And then you have your yeah, this is not in dollars because the 1 million is not supposed to be in dollars. And then that's it. Oh, this is okay. This is supposed to be a number. Custom number. There we go. So C would be 46. Yep. So it would be 46,000 cells recorded, or if you want the dollar amount, take the 4.6 times the 150 million. That's it. Guys, any questions? Are we good? Are you guys all suffering from other exams? Basically speaking by myself right now. All right, well, if there's any questions, let me know. But otherwise, guys, good luck, huh? Good luck. Take one exam at a time. And yeah, if you have any questions on maybe just not yeah, I have 310 Friday. Do you have a month? Yeah, I did 310 like in 2020. Like I don't even know what I did for that. It was like during COVID, so it was totally different. I didn't have a mock exam. But yeah, if you have any questions on 360, let me know. I'll try to answer. And yeah, if you just have a question on maybe like accounting or consulting, because I'm not in audit, so just let me know if you have any questions on that as well. I'll be glad to help you out. And if not, if you're starting your internship in January, well, if you come to the office in Montreal, I'll be there every day. Just like right now, I'm at the office. Or if you're there during the summer, I'll see you there during the summer, and don't be afraid to say hi. And that's it. All right. Ciao, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye bye.